border of China has been put forward. The party's renovation and innovation have been put forward. With all levels, people and leaders and officials have put in contributions. With the leading of the central parties, it has been provided great support for the political enforcement, especially in the autonomous region, to innovatively implement the party's guidelines. With the guidelines of the Central Party, it has been upholded the respect and dignity of the region. Today, in Inner Mongolia, we see a prosperous life. People of all ethnic groups wholeheartedly are now moving forward to the society with a moderatively prosperity. Inner Mongolia autonomous region has achieved all these results with spiritless efforts. With the guiding and support from the Central Party, it has been historical and the effort from all people. It is also the result from the support of people of all ethnic groups. And it has been proved that it's only with the support and the leading of the central government and the Chinese Party, the regional policy of autonomous groups can be the foundation for achieving the Chinese dream and to realize the unity among nationalities and ethnic groups and the common prosperous development. Currently, we are standing in the defining phase of building the society with prosperous development. And to generally see the attention from the central government and the hope sent from the central government. Since the 18th plenary session, the central government, with the leading of President Xi Jinping, has been put forward the policy for the development. With the visit to Inner Mongolia, to build forward and to improve the livelihood of the region, with the leading of officials and people of all levels, to always uphold the socialism with Chinese characteristics, as well as the plenary sessions of the 18th conference, with the scientific development guidelines, and also to keep up with the speech spirit of President Xi Jinping and to implement the innovative strategies for Chinese development, and to uphold the socialism with Chinese characteristics with confidence, and with confidence in culture and in policies, to implement the strategies from the central government, as well as to contribute and to lead in the contribution of the building society with moderatively prosperity, and to build the landscape of the northern border of China, to realize the Chinese dream and to contribute more in a higher level. To wish the PLA in Inner Mongolia autonomous region, it is the foundation of people's livelihood, and we have to keep the good spirit, to promote the unity in ethnic groups and the mutual assistance between the PLA and the people. And let us all to uphold the spirit around the leading of the Central Party and to innovatively move forward to build a better future for Inner Mongolia. And finally, to congratulate a more prosperous and better future for Inner Mongolia and a better and more harmonious life for all people here, and long living of all people. The central government and NPC and CCPCC, August 8th of 2017.
Now, let us warmly welcome the member of the Standing Committee of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee and the chairman of CPPCC and the head of the Central Government Delegation, Comrade Yu Zhengsheng, to give a speech. Comrades, friends, at this happy and peaceful day, the Central Government Delegation have come here with the care from the party led by General Secretary Xi Jinping and with the beautiful wishes from all ethnic groups across the country. We have come here and together with all the ethnic groups from Inner Mongolia to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the establishment of Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. First, on behalf of the CPC Central Committee and the MPC Standing Committee, the State Council, the CPPCC, and Central Military Commission, to all the people in Inner Mongolia region and people from all walks of life, and the PLA command in Inner Mongolia, armed officers of Inner Mongolia, and political personnel in Inner Mongolia, and also to all the comrades and friends who support the development of Inner Mongolia. We extend our highest respect and sincere gratitude. 7 years ago, under the leadership of the Communist Party of China, the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region was established. Now this is a great innovation that combines the tenets of Marxism and with Chinese revolution and the Chinese nation. It has set a successful case for the autonomy system of China's ethnic groups, and has created a glamorous chapter of the history of China's ethnic relations. In the past 70 years, especially since the opening up and reform, the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region has seen a leaping development on various undertakings, and the region has achieved some remarkable development. The region has seen a great increase in economic power and achieved a complete range of modern economic system with the balanced development of the third industry. The gross product, the GDP of the autonomy last year has reached 1.86 thousand billion RMB with 74,000 RMB per capita, which is 642 times more and 145 times more than that in 1947. Infrastructure is greatly improved with highway and large number of civil and aviation and high-speed railways have covered the country and the whole world. People's livelihood had been improved, and the income of people living in rural and urban areas has greatly improved, and also the living index has reached or even exceeded the national average, and over 60% of local people have enjoyed urbanization. Now, the region also has a colorful culture, world heritage, including long folk songs and public culture has been sparkling, and this public culture service network has covered both urban and rural areas. Ulaanbaatar has become a flagship in this regard in Inner Mongolia and all around the nation. The country has also built some harmonious relationship in ethnic groups. We have created several number ones and advanced cultural experiences in ethnic affairs, and composed best farmland for aviation, thousands of orphans in Inner Mongolia, various nations with Baotou steel, little hero sisters in grassland, and a lot of other heroic stories, which has achieved a great honor of model municipality in the long term. And the building of the party team and the government team has been also strengthened. This is a great achievement and leap for the development of Inner Mongolia, and is a successful practice of the Chinese characteristics, with solution with Chinese characteristics to solve ethnic problems, and also a great victory of socialism with Chinese characteristics.
The remarkable achievements made over the past 70 years cannot be made without the party comrades Mao Zedong, Deng Xiaoping, Jiang Zemin as the core. And it cannot be achieved without the 18th National Congress of the Communist Party of China, with the leading of President Xi Jinping. And it cannot be achieved without the sincere assistance and continuing work of all people from the public. And it has been proved that to achieve all these results, we have to uphold the leadership of the Communist Party of China and to unify all ethnic groups, and we have to uphold and develop the socialism with Chinese characteristics, and to build confidence in policies, in culture, and in history. And we must uphold the building of the path to resolve concerns with all ethnic groups, and to optimize the regional autonomous system, and to uphold, to liberate the social productivity, as well as to integrate the support from the central government, and to protect the ecological systems. And we have to uphold the principle that the national interest is above all, and to firmly defend our frontier and to build national unity. Comrades, dear all friends, currently we are entering the defining stage of the completion of building the society with moderatively prosperity. And Inner Mongolia is in its key time. The central government earnestly hope that all people and leaders in Inner Mongolia to uphold the spirit of third, fourth, and all plenary sessions of 18th CPC committee, and to implement the speeches and ideas which President Xi Jinping provided in the conference, and to promote the allocation of 5-in-1 strategy, and to firmly establish the comprehensiveness of the spirits. to continuously build the path for the economic development, the national unity, the ecological civilization, and livelihood improvement in Inner Mongolia, to build the landscape in our northern frontier a better one, and to make more contributions to the construction and of Inner Mongolia and to achieve the Chinese dream. First, to firmly insist and complete the system of regional autonomy of ethnic groups.
The system of regional autonomy of ethnic minorities is one of China's basic political policy. It's the right path and guarantor for China to solve ethnic problems. Inner Mongolia is the first provincial level ethnic autonomous region. In terms of regional autonomy practice, it has a great tradition and experience. We must fully implement the constitution and the law on regional ethnic autonomy, and also improve on relevant laws and regulations, strengthening the promotion of the awareness of law and enhance supervision and inspection. Now we have to perform the regional autonomy on the basis of implementation of the country's decree. And we have also to protect the basic rights of people from all ethnic groups, make sure people share common autonomous rights. Moreover, we have to follow the right direction and do better in the development of in terms of ethnic unity and autonomy, and carry out the important function of the system in terms of safeguarding national unity, territorial integrity, and ethnic unity, and also in the development of ethnic regions. And we have to also strengthen team building and pay importance to both the skills and also morality of people, of the talent, and also pay great attention in cultivating and selecting cadres of ethnic minorities, and also to try to build a highly skilled leadership team of the minority groups. Second is to make sure that the whole nation stick together to make a well-off society in an all-around way. To achieve the total well-off society is not only a sincere promise to all people in our country made by the Party Central Committee, but also this is a higher request for the development of Inner Mongolia region. We have to progress on the basis of steady progress, and we have to implement a new development concept, including the supply-side structural reform, and to develop our unique industries, modern agriculture, and animal husbandry. Moreover, we have to create a diversified development and multi-level support of modern industrial system in order to build the advantages of regional structure and innovation, as well as to promote the coordination of the development of urban and rural areas. We have to promote green development and sustainable development. We have to do a good job in fighting the diversification, and we have to promote tree building. And in those great ecological projects, we strive to improve ecological environment and to create beautiful grass and air. We have to actively integrate the region with the Belt and Road Initiative and the integration of the Beijing, Tianjin, Hebei region, and to build a strong fortress for our country's development in the north. Third, we have to make great efforts to protect and improve people's livelihood. This is the foundation of the well-being of people and social harmony. We should insist in developing the idea that people is the center of our country. We have to promote the equalization of basic public services to benefit more people. We have to pay attention to solve the issues that most concern the people and make all ethnic groups have more access to social service and satisfaction. We have to advance the strategy of a job first, broadening the employment rate and the income. We have to improve the incomes of farmers, improve employment and entrepreneurship. We have to improve education, quality of education, and the team building of teachers, and to foster more useful talent that are conducive for the development of the region. We have to accurately alleviate poverty. We have to focus on some focus groups and focus problems and make reform measures that are very well suited to the region, to the timing, and to the specific people.
And fourth, to promote ethnic unity and consolidate the frontier. Ethnic unity is the lifeline of all people, and to enhance the ethnic unity, it's a strategic fundamental and work of long term. We must uphold the ethnic unity to promote exchange and communication among people and to create conditions for people to cohabitate, to cooperate, and to collaborate, and for people to help each other and provide mutual assistance. And we must further promote the unity for people to set up a creative, informative, and attractive medium for people to achieve it, to build a righteous view of the nation, of history, and of ethnic groups, and to build the recognition of all people to our country, our culture, to Communist Party, and to Chinese socialism with Chinese characteristics. To keep the tradition of helping each other and to firmly help people in all ethnic groups to harmoniously live together and to develop in a harmonious method, to defend the frontier of the country and to create a beautiful life together. With 70 years of glorious development, the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region adhered to the leadership of the Communist Party of China. No matter how difficult or challenging it has been, the love and loyalty to the party from the people has not been changed. Comrade Wu Lanfu is one of the representatives and role models. And today, our fighting for the better future, the construction and the promotion of a better future, we need this part of loyalty and we need this accountability. With more, the original intention to build a new Inner Mongolia and a new China. Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region, the members from the party need to uphold the four consciousness, including the ideology, and to safeguard the spirit from President Xi Jinping's speech, and to promote the education of the two studies, one action, and as well as to see from the whole picture and to keep the contribution and be accountable. For all party members, it should become a place to serve people and to contribute and to fearlessly contribute, to unite people and to assist people. comrades and friends.
70 years of great practice and brilliant achievements are already written down in history. We still need to continue to strive for a brighter future. Let us rally closer around the CPC Central Committee, with General Secretary Xi Jinping at the core, and hold high the great banner of socialism with Chinese characteristics, and strictly adhere to the Deng Xiaoping theory, the theory of three represents, and the scientific outlook on development. Put into practice the guiding principles of General Secretary Xi Jinping's major policy addresses and his new concepts, ideas, and strategies of governance. Implement the major policies from the Central Committee of the CPC about Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. Work together, march forward, and welcome the opening of the 19th National Congress of the Communist Party of China with new achievements of the region. Strive to complete the prosperous society in all respects and achieve the Chinese dream of the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. I wish the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region a bright future. I wish people of all nations in the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region great happiness, and may our country be more prosperous and powerful. Thank you.
Now, please welcome the Director of the People's Congress from the Autonomous Region, Comrade Li Jiheng. Respected Chairman Comrade Yu Zhengsheng and all members from the delegation of the central government, dear friends and all people, today we gathered here to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the establishment of Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. The central government, MPC, and CCCPC, as well as the Central Military Committee, has sent the congratulations. President Xi Jinping has written the congratulations to build a better and more beautiful Inner Mongolia as well as Chinese dream. With the leading of President Xi Jinping, the care from the central government has been implemented, and the earnest hope and expectations from President Xi Jinping to Inner Mongolia was fully expressed. All people and leaders in all levels, the wishes has been expressed. People of both ethnic groups have felt excited and inspired. CPPCC and the chairman Yu Zhengsheng has led the delegation to visit Inner Mongolia and to express the care and love from the central government to Inner Mongolia and best wishes to all people. On behalf of the autonomous region and the local government and the political committee and all people from the region, to the central government with the leading of President Xi Jinping, we send all our respect, and to the central government delegation and to all guests from the delegation and all people, welcome. And to all people from all industries and disciplines, to the PLA and armed force and officials in military in the military section, we send our best wishes. To all people that are working or have been working in Inner Mongolia, for people who have contributed to the development and moving forward of the region, to all people that have cared of the region to express our best gratitude.
Right here, right now, we deeply commemorate those who made great contributions to the development of the region, Comrade Lamto, and we also commemorate those who made great efforts in the development of the region. We forever remember their great achievements. In 1947, May the 1st, 1947, under the leadership of the Communist Party and at the firing of the cannons in the Liberation War, the establishment of the Inner Mongolia region was enhanced under the leadership of Chairman Mao, Mr. Deng Xiaoping and Jiang Zemin, and also the General Secretary of Hu Jintao, with their strong development and the strong leadership of CPC. The military and all people of the nation have sticked to the socialism path and created a glamorous chapter of reform and opening up. Since the 18th Party National Congress, people from all China have rallied close around the Central Committee of the CPC with Comrade Xi Jinping at the helm, and we have put into practice the important spirit of General Secretary Xi Jinping's speeches and policies. We have also implemented the spirit of the important speeches of President Xi Jinping when he visits the Inner Mongolia, and we have put forward, carried out the 4 comprehensives and rallied together and opened a new chapter in terms of development and reform and opening up. The northern frontier of our country has achieved great economic development and ethnic harmony, stability, and a good ecological environment. And also, we have improved the livelihood of the people. Now, these achievements were achieved because of the strong leadership of the CPC Central Committee with General Secretary Xi Jinping at the core. It was also because of the new policies and strategies of the spirit of the policy addresses of General Secretary Xi Jinping. We have stuck to the right direction and unswervingly upheld the leadership of the party and the socialism with Chinese characteristics. And we have unswervingly supported the leadership of the party and strengthened our awareness of the whole situation and the awareness of the core of the party. We have built confidence in our own culture, in our own policy, and in our own road. We have strived hard to keep pace in our action, in our theory, with the CPC Central Committee, with Xi Jinping at the core, and to implement well, to localize the policies from the central government. Today's Inner Mongolia region is witnessing great harmony and we are marching forward with the characteristics, Chinese characteristics, socialism. We have also done some innovative work in our development, in terms of green development and sharing development, and coordinately pushed forward urbanization, the modernization of agriculture, and green development. We have deepened the reform and opening up, and also the transitioning of the of the economy and the industry. The GDP has reached 1.6 trillion yuan, and the economic structure is continually being increased, and our efficiency of development has been steadily enhanced. Today's Inner Mongolia region is seeing greater economic power, and the development of urban and rural areas are seeing new landscape. All groups of people are marching forward towards a society, towards a relatively well-off society. We have stuck to the right path and fully carried out the advantages of ethnic autonomy to develop together and reform together, to actively engage in conversation and exchanges of all ethnic groups, and to create a new and harmonious inter-ethnic relationship of the region. Today's autonomous region is stable and unified, and all ethnic groups have been joined hand in hand to safeguard our sovereign frontier and development. We have stuck to the development of advanced culture and stick to the core value of the socialism, and also promote the great traditions of the Chinese culture. And we devote great efforts into the education of the Chinese identity, and to create a better awareness and identification of the Chinese people, of the Chinese Communist Party. In today's Inner Mongolian region, culture has been innovated, and a spiritual home of people has been built. All ethnic groups of China enjoy a new home, enjoy a common home, and a new development of path has been implemented.
And we have making our contribution to mitigate the poverty, to improve the livelihood of all people, and the people's living standards have been improved and optimized. We have achieved great results from the development and reform. The north frontier of China has been defended and consolidated. Today, we have people living in a harmonious society with great work, and people of all ethnic groups being improved, not only substantially but also spiritually. We have upheld the green development and the fundamental line of development. We put this into our responsibilities, and to deepen the ecological protection and environment protection, to speed up the green industry development and the policy carrying for the development, to protect the environment and the layouts for the whole autonomous region, and the producing methods and the environment for people to live has all been improved, and the environment for people to live a better life have been consolidated as well. Today's Inner Mongolia, we see a green landscape from the forestry to deserts, from snow area to the highlands. We uphold the leading from the Central Party and to guide our people. To deepen our path with people-oriented and the education of 2 studies and 1 action, to keep our in-depth development in our anti-corruption, to resolve the problems and issues that have been reflected by people, to construct in the party with our anti-corruption spirit as well as in all aspects. For the autonomous region, provide a fundamental base for the people. With the forceful leading of the party, it has been provided great help for the development of the region. 70 years of great achievement and 70 years of fruitful results. It is the policies that has created the success of the region. It is also a great practice of all policies, and it is for all peoples from all ethnic groups being improved in all lives. The leading of the Central Party and central government has contributed to these results and success, and it is the result of support from all people in all industries and disciplines. For all people, members of the party and people of all disciplines, it is a result of your work. The fact and history is going to prove continuously that only with the persistent upholding of the spirit from the central government and leadership, we can achieve the prosperous and successful today. And only with that, we can achieve a better tomorrow for the autonomous region. Comrades, friends, on our grasslands, we have a saying that to see the stars, we see our directions. With the President Xi Jinping's visit to the autonomous region, to achieve the Chinese dream and the dream of all people, it has provided the goal and direction for all people, for us to move forward, to improve our consciousness to the political, economic development, and to uphold the core state of President Xi Jinping as well as the central government, and to keep in one with the leading of the central government. We need to keep the path and the confidence in going on the path with socialism, with Chinese characteristics, and to keep the path of central government, to continuously build the autonomous group, to move forward. We also need to keep the situation in mind and to grasp the opportunities to liberate the social productivity and to improve the livelihood, to ensure that the whole country is going to build the society with moderately prosperity, and to build and optimize the regional policy for ethnic groups, and to consolidate and to unify the people of all ethnic groups. Let us all to surround and to uphold the spirit from the central government and to uphold the spirit of the central party with the guidance from the center and the spirit of the speech from President Xi Jinping to have our new strategies, new concepts, and new perspectives to keep up with the strategies and strategic development, to move forward and to build a better Inner Mongolia and to achieve a better Chinese dream, to build the northern frontier of China a more beautiful one, and may our country a prosperous one, and may all people a happy life. Thank you. Now, please allow the representative from people, the Hansu Mu Zhu from Askurxin tribe, and Siqing Batu from Gaza.
남인 19 дугаар их хурлын амжилттай уралдахын угдах баяр чаг мөчид би чөөн доод үндэстний төлөөлөгчийн хаваар өвөр Монголын өөртөө засах орон байгуулсан 70 жилийн ойгийн бүлэглэх ясалд оржиж баярын үг хөлөх болсондоо сэтгэл маш догдолж байна.
I'm very happy to be able to address here as a local herdsman who grew up here. I have always been aware of the great development of the region. All the kids are going to school. The old men have social security insurance. Roads that have been built. We have tap water. At home, I can do video chats with people from afar. The grassland of the region has been promoted to the world, and I can't tell the full stories of the great development of the region. We know that the great achievement of the region was made possible by the strong leadership of the CPC Central Committee with General Secretary Xi Jinping at the core, and it was also because of the great hard work carried out by people and the government of the region. I'm very sincerely thankful for the leadership of the region and for the great care and love of the party for the ethnic groups, and I'm also sincerely thankful for being able to march on the great path of socialism with Chinese characteristics. We must strongly and actively rally around the CPC Central Committee with President Xi Jinping at the core, and to build the northern frontier of the nation into a more beautiful one. We must innovate in a green and sustainable way, and to develop also the ecological environment in a unified, harmonious way, and to strive to build a relatively well-off society. We must cherish the great life that we enjoy today and the great situation of ethnic unity. And we also need to rally all the ethnic group minorities in China to build and construct our new home together. The past 70 years has been years of great achievements and great work. We must stick to the glamorous tradition of hard work and to strive in the building of a better autonomous region. Thank you. Now, please invite representative of citizens, Guo Xiaohong from the local community of the Baotou city.
Respected guests, dear friends, I am Guo Xiaohong from the community of the local street in Baotou, Kundulun district. I'm very happy to be the representative from the people and to attend the celebration event for the 70th anniversary of the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. I'm very excited and proud. I have so many things to say. I want to thank the Central CPC Committee and the President Xi Jinping. With your visit, your wish and expectations for mutual help and assistance from all people, it has expressed all our wishes, and it also reflected the hope and care from President Xi Jinping in Mongolia, the success achieved over the 70 years, and all people to live a better life. It is all attributed to the leading of CPC and the leading of the central government led by President Xi Jinping. I want to say that all people from the local community are all living a happy life. Being one of the community social workers, I have had 17 years of experience, and with these years, I have deeply felt the change and improvement in all aspects. We see the mutual help and sharing benefits from the contribution and work. I would like to share with all of you a story. In our community, there is an old lady named Qiao Xiulan. Her husband has passed away for several years and 2 years older than me. And her intelligence is only at the age of 4 or 5 years old. She could not control her movements. And for me, I feel like a pity that I have to help this family and this lady to overcome the difficulties. In the following days, with the volunteers and workers from our community, we often visit the home of Qiao, and in 2011, in the winter, Miss Qiao called me that her son has lost his way. We have tried to find him in the local community, and finally around 10 p.m. we found him. Miss Qiao was very moved, and a lot of people shared tears. And that is only one example from our united community. I want to say that in the local community, we have leaders and cadres with entrepreneurship and moving forward in a fast speed. In our community, there are always new challenges and changes happening, and to help serve the people with a better standard, we always build new role models and to new strategies, and to put forward the community building and party and socialism building to establish the leading and the catalyst for people, and to serve better, to have better policies and better performance in work. We build our community to truly communicate and connect people, the center for people to communicate and exchange. And also, with our social support, we have also built a new mechanism to improve people's lives, the Center for Work, and to attract social and entrepreneurs to innovate and to purchase the service from the government, to provide more personalized and customized help for people. With more assistance, we have built facilities for people with elderlies and cleaning homes for old people, and to provide facilities for old people and to help more than 90% of the community members to improve their livelihood. And our work has been recognized by people and government of all levels. We have achieved and received honors and awards in all levels, and we have been recognized as the model village and community for the region. And I myself have been recognized and awarded the role model for work. I would like to say that the heart of all people have been facing and upholding the spirit of the government. With all the development and moving forward of the autonomous region, our better home has been built. And we will always follow the steps from the party and to contribute and move forward. We will always be standing with the spirit of the President Xi Jinping as well as the central government and central party to contribute and endeavor with our work to build our landscape in the northern frontier a better one, and to realize the prosperous revolution and to realize the Chinese dream. Thank you.
现在举行内蒙古自治区成立70周年
Now
群众行
we'll
进表
proceed
演。
to the performance of people of the region to celebrate the 70th year anniversary of the founding of the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region.
Well, if you've just joined us, this is our special coverage of the 70th anniversary of the establishment of Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. We were watching live feed. Officials from the central government, regional government, as well as representatives of citizens, of Inner Mongolian citizens, have been sending their messages of congratulations. And now to get some more discussion, we are joined in the studio by our current affairs commentator, Dr. Victor Gao, and also Laura Schmidt. She's a presenter with our Rediscovering China program. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So we've been watching the live feeds throughout. Top political advisor Yu Zhengsheng really emphasized the importance of improving people's livelihood and their incomes, and to build a moderately prosperous society in Inner Mongolia in general. So how do you approach his ideas?
Yes, indeed. We have been listening very carefully to all these 5 speeches, and each speech is very important. And I think Chairman Yu Zhengsheng of CPPCC's speech is particularly important in the sense that he really looks at the 70-year development of Inner Mongolia in a macro way, and is also sizing up the current situation and projecting into the future. Of course, in Inner Mongolia, focusing on the well-being of the people, constantly making efforts to improve the living standards of the people is crucially important. As we mentioned, the region is vast, covering 1.2 million square kilometers with a population of 25 million people, and these people actually belong to almost 50 different nationalities in China, and living standards improvement is absolutely important, because in this way harmony can be better preserved, stability can be better preserved, and the priority of the efforts can be devoted to economic development, and Inner Mongolia can again become a shining example for other 4 autonomous regions in China, and paving the way for greater national solidarity and harmony. That's important.
And as we speak, we are watching live feed of the performance there to mark the anniversary of the founding of Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. And let me ask you this, Laura. I mean, these sounds and pictures really belong to Inner Mongolia, to the people there. And they have been living a life like this for centuries. So what are your experiences in Inner Mongolia, and what do you find so special about the autonomous region?
Well, I mean, yes, I think the first association most of us have with Inner Mongolia is just this idea of herdsmen in the grasslands, and it's a very romantic idea. But I think there's actually a lot more to the region. I mean, I've spent a lot of time in the capital, Hohhot, where my husband is from, and there's a massive cultural diversity. So there's not just Han and Mongolians, there's also Hui, the Muslim minority, and Manchus. And so it's reflected in the architecture. So one of my favorite areas in the city is basically the Muslim quarter has like Arabic-inspired architecture and a beautiful mosque. And then up in the northeast of the country, you've got Russian influences. So it's incredibly diverse culturally as well as geographically. You've got the desert, so you can go from riding a horse in the grassland to riding a camel in the desert within just 2 hours.
What about people's identities? Do they have a very strong sense of who they are, being ethnic Mongolian? Which part of their way of life really illustrates their ethnic identity?
Well, I think again it depends on what you're looking at. So if you're in cities like Hohhot, it's very mixed. There are still traditionally exclusively Mongolian schools as well, where people are taught the language. But at the same time, you have a lot of cultural elements that we're looking at right now. So one big theme is the Nadam horse race, of course, or the Nadam games. So they're a big part of the culture there. Kind of it's for entertainment, and it's a sports competition with horse racing, with archery, and with the third one is Mongolian wrestling. So you have all these cultural aspects that are still being maintained in a very big way across the province, of course. But when you look at Hohhot, I think what was said was, I've heard my husband say that firstly they consider themselves Inner Mongolian when you're in the capital, and then secondly, am I Han, am I Mongolian, or
so different layers of identities are intertwined together, depending on where they are, their origins, the environment they're in.
Yes, I think one of the things, of course, when you look at the cities is that Mandarin is the standard language, and then what happens is, of course, you can maintain your own culture, but of course people are working in Mandarin, and then it becomes a question of how much of the traditional can be retained, especially in an urban setting. When people are not using their language, a lot of people my age or younger are maybe struggling a little bit in speaking, especially reading and writing the traditional Mongolian characters as well. So.
And now as we speak, we are watching these performers representing the traditional silk scarf, symbolizing good luck and fortune, hospitality and friendship. They are representing this very symbolic identity, cultural identity to the audience. And Victor and I earlier were talking about how education in Inner Mongolia is being done in a bilingual way. So help us understand how the autonomous region has been doing to preserve the language identity of the people?
Well, definitely for the Mongolians, of course, they speak their own language. Many of them also speak Mandarin, and they mostly believe in Buddhism, the Tibetan Buddhism version of that. So the Mongolian culture is very unique in a sense. But as Laura just mentioned, in Inner Mongolia, you actually have almost 50 different ethnic groups, and each of them has its own very unique culture and religious background. And I think the heterogeneity of Inner Mongolia for the people over there is right now being used very much as an enhancer of harmony rather than separating people apart. And given the more rapid economic development, I think it gives the background, the pillar force for this continued harmony, not only in cultural sense but also in religious sense, I think. And talking about education, I think it's very important. My understanding is that the Mandarin education is more or less mandatory throughout Inner Mongolia, whereas the kids from different minority groups actually can also study their own native dialect or native language. So I think bilingual education for many of these ethnic groups is actually an advantage, because they can speak their own language but also the Mandarin language, and in many cases also being able to study English, for example, and in certain cases Russian to a lesser extent, for example. So I hope the younger generation, in terms of the language efficiency and capabilities, can be multilingual and enabling them not only to work in Inner Mongolia but in many other parts of China, and also globally along the One Belt, One Road passageway throughout the world. So this means that education is becoming more and more important for the younger generation in Inner Mongolia of different ethnic groups.
Well, traditional language is certainly a very important part of education and an important part of their ethnic identity too. When was your first exposure to the Mongolian culture, Laura?
The very first time I went to Inner Mongolia was 2010.
So that was 7 years ago. How is the region different between then and now?
Well, I think especially, again, with urbanization, it's growing. I mean, what I really liked the first time I went there, going back to the education, was seeing bilingual signs, seeing traditional Mongolian language, and that's still the case.
Yeah.
You'll still see it on the streets, and it's actually quite interesting because Mongolia adopted the Russian Cyrillic alphabet, so you can't see that in Mongolia anymore, but you still have it in Inner Mongolia. But then, of course, there is urbanization, and there is the other thing is about the situation of the grasslands. We already heard it a little bit in the streets, in the speech earlier. So there's a lot of changes, particularly to the weather conditions and the situation in terms of too much human activity that is harming the grasslands. So I remember when my husband was small, the grasslands went up to his knees, but now they're becoming incredibly short, like just maybe this high, simply because there's too much going on and it's too dry and it gets too cold in the winter, and grasslands are starting to grow later on in the year. So that is, of course, one issue. But the other change that I've seen is around reusable energy. So when I went up to Mongolia last year, I saw something that I'd never seen in China before, which is wind farms, and it reminded me a lot of Germany because that's what I saw a lot growing up.
Gigantic turbines?
Massive turbines. Right. So yeah, and from what I hear, Inner Mongolia is now actually one of the leading provinces in China on this kind of energy.
And a figure says that about 21% of electricity generated from Inner Mongolia is actually from new energies, wind as well as solar.
Exactly.
That has been the case when I was there 10 years ago to cover the 60th anniversary of the founding of the autonomous region. Massive wind farms and as well as solar power stations, and they could generate power, electricity to benefit the local herdsmen right outside their tents. Really benefited their lives.
Yeah, I think that is something that I'm also very much in favor of, trying to find ways of naturally producing, because of course one big problem is the reliance on coal and the mining activity, which is also kind of killing off the grasslands. So if you can find options to work around that, that's of course something that can bring change.
And now let me do a little explanation of the live feed that we're watching right now. Ethnic minorities from different parts of Inner Mongolia, from different leagues, are marching through the square, the main venue of today's celebration event. And the music is typical of Inner Mongolian culture. And the green ground is descriptive of the massive grasslands in Inner Mongolia. It's a reminder of the beautiful landscape, and I'm sure later on we'll be watching more performances. The traditional nomads riding on horses, that's a very important part of their culture. Victor, let's also talk about, because looking from the live feed, we could see it seems that the performers are not just Mongols, they are from other ethnicities as well. So how do you interpret the idea of ethnic integration in Inner Mongolia? Because Laura just mentioned it is Inner Mongolia has a great mixture of different ethnicities.
Absolutely. I think historically speaking, the concept of a Mongol race actually started as recently as the 12th century, especially after Genghis Khan consolidated all the people around him, and eventually this Mongolian concept emerged on the global scene actually. And the Mongolian nationality, historically speaking, has been warriors, and they are very strong, very sturdy people, and very militant during certain historical period. And Mongolians in general take great pride of their great achievements during the Mongol Empire, which stretched from the east end of Asia all the way to East Europe, or even Central Europe. Whatever the historical facts are, I think the Mongolians' sense of historical pride is there. And as you just now can see, talking about the Mongolians, we need to talk about the horses, because they are like companions to the Mongolians one way or another.
Mongolians are referred to as people on the horseback.
Exactly. They can, many kids actually can ride on horse before they can walk on the ground.
Without
actually.
saddles or fears.
Exactly. So I think this is a unique part of the culture. We are also very proud of that culture. I think, even though I'm ethnically a Han rather than a Mongolian, and I think therefore protecting the Mongolian culture is crucially important. As Laura just now mentioned, people in Outer Mongolia now uses the Cyrillic alphabet, the Russian alphabet, whereas in Inner Mongolia, the Mongolian people have preserved their traditional alphabet, which was created by a very distinguished Tibetan scholar actually. And therefore people in Inner Mongolia versus people in Outer Mongolia, they can communicate to each other by speaking to each other, but then in terms of their written languages, they no longer can understand each other. And I think by preserving the traditional Mongol culture, it will eventually also enable people in Outer Mongolia, whenever that time will come, to really get to their historical roots and cultural roots. Therefore, preserving the Mongolian culture is important not only for people in Mongolia, but also in a regional sense or even in a global sense. And in addition to that, I think the fact that I mentioned that many people in Outer Mongolia now regularly come to Inner Mongolia for education for the kids, for medical treatment, etc., means that with higher level of economic development in Inner Mongolia, the economic benefits actually can spill over across the border to the Republic of Mongolia, where people can also participate in the rapid economic development in Inner Mongolia. And this serves to harmonize the relations on both sides of the border, and also enable more people, not only in this particular part of the world, but throughout the Eurasian continent, to feel better the benefits of China's peaceful rise, and why China is eager to promote the One Belt One Road concept throughout the Eurasian continent, but also spilling over to many other parts of the world.
And really, one remarkable fact is that the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region was established in 1947, which means that it was established 2 years earlier than the People's Republic of China, which was founded in 1949. So tell us about the timing of the establishment of the autonomous region. How special an autonomous region is it for China?
Yeah, indeed. In the 1940s, during the Second World War, the bulk part of Inner Mongolia was actually occupied by the Japanese aggressors. When the Japanese troops surrendered in 1945, the communist forces, later being re-characterized as the People's Liberation Army in the Civil War period, took over much of Inner Mongolia. And then in 1947, the Communist Party actually instigated this launch of Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region, which actually was established, as you mentioned, 2 years ahead of the People's Republic of China, which is a very unusual and extraordinary achievement. All the other 4 autonomous regions were established after the founding of the People's Republic of China, and in this sense, the people in Inner Mongolia really have great pride in the fact that their autonomous region preceded the founding of the People's Republic. And I think in Yu Zhengshen's very important speech, he also mentioned about the total length of 70 years, and people in Mongolia made all these efforts throughout the decades, turning the Inner Mongolia region into a region of great accomplishment, for example. And I think going forward, this sense of pride and this sense of great achievement will continue to drive the people in Inner Mongolia onto greater heights of economic development, new industrialization and digitization, for example, and as Laura mentioned, the new and renewable sources of energy, and energy not only for the people in Inner Mongolia, but also transmitted to many other parts of China.
Well, lots of changes have been taking place over the course of 70 years, Laura. You mentioned new energies, and of course, Victor just mentioned high technology, innovation in Inner Mongolia. What are the things that remain unchanged in the autonomous region?
Well, I think that there's certainly a lot to be said for the cultural preservation, of course. It's become a major tourist attraction, and so of course this is things like this, that what we're seeing now, these traditional dances, there's a lot of effort being put into making sure that these kinds of things survive, and of course a lot of these cultural aspects are becoming less and less, so I think it's very important that these kinds of efforts are actually made to keep all these special dances that, I mean, they also have a history of around 800 years. They're absolutely fascinating to watch. And when I was there the first time, we had the traditional Mongolian bowl dance where they put the bowl on the head, and the woman was amazing. I mean, she went on to the ground and she was lying on her stomach and the bowl was still on her head, and just amazing balance, of course, and these kinds of things that represent the herders' lives, and the dances express the lives that they had at the time, and chores, household chores, and riding horses, all these things are expressed through dance. So I think things like that, it's great that they have found a way to kind of preserve that, make sure that lives on.
Victor, what do you think? What remains unchanged?
And I think one thing which stands out is the Mongolian people's strong belief in Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism. Throughout Inner Mongolia, you actually come across many Buddhist temples, and in the Mongolian sense, it's mostly Tibetan Buddhism. And there are many living Buddhas, both Tibetan as well as Mongolians. And I think this sense of high respect, this sense of spirituality, and this effort of really devoting themselves to their own religious belief is a very important tradition of the Mongolian people. And now more and more people from other parts of China go to Inner Mongolia to talk to the living Buddhas, for example, and to talk to the priests and to seek consolation as well as spiritual guidance. And I think with China becoming more and more open and more transparent, with respect for religious freedom is being very much encouraged right now. The strong Mongolian Buddhist tradition actually is having a very important impact, not only in Inner Mongolia but in other parts of the world. And I think we should respect this very important religious belief in the Mongolian version of Tibetan Buddhism.
And Victor and Laura, what we're seeing right now is live performance to mark the 70th anniversary of the establishment of the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. And this is a show on display by the wrestlers. Nadam Festival is usually an important festival to mark any celebrations of major festivals, and it consists of wrestling, archery, as well as horse riding. And in today's show, these traditional arts forms will be put on display. We are also seeing a parade of astronauts waving at the audience.
So many astronauts.
So many astronauts.
Standing on the Mongolian grassland.
And I remember the Shenzhou spacecraft, one of the Shenzhou missions, the return module actually landed in Inner Mongolia. So it has an important role to play in China's space industry. So we were talking about ethnic identity, about religious belief. To what degree do you think people in Inner Mongolia enjoy a sense of regional autonomy, Victor?
Well, as we just now mentioned, the autonomous region was established in 1947. So this sets Inner Mongolia apart from the other 4 autonomous regions.
Right.
And also, I would say, throughout the decades, one strong feature standing out very clearly is that the Mongolian ethnic group and other ethnic groups in Mongolia have managed to handle their inter-ethnic relations very well. I would say that harmony is the dominant theme compared with 1 or 2 other autonomous regions, and I think the people over there have a strong sense of patriotism actually, and they are very much they believe they are very much part of the all Chinese nation, and they are very happily engaged in different walks of life, engaged in different disciplines in their life, etc., rather than being agitated by extremism or terrorism or extreme version of nationalism. And I think this is very, very much of a stabilizing factor in China today. And as I just now mentioned, I would urge my brothers and sisters in several other autonomous regions to really learn from the very successful story in Inner Mongolia how the situation can be better maintained and people can focus on improving their living standards, improving their economic conditions, further accelerating the industrialization while preserving what they are good at in terms of traditional agriculture, animal husbandry, as well as their religious and cultural heritage.
Let's now take a break from our studio discussion, and we can talk to our reporter who's right at the spot of the major venue. Our reporter Guanyang is joining us from the site of the celebration. Guanyang, tell us about the highlights there. I mean, we could see and hear exactly what you are seeing and hearing, but tell us about how people are reacting to this major celebration.
The celebration has started on the grassland following a keynote speech delivered by the member of the Standing Committee of the CPC Central Committee, Yu Zhengsheng, where he has emphasized that prioritizing economic and social development have been vital to the region's growth and prosperity. Just now, representatives and performing artists are entering the arena in front of the Cultural Sports Center, which is to be designed to become a new shining landmark for the region, featuring a grandstand, racetrack, performance hall, wrestling arena, sports museum, and many more. In the next half an hour or so, we will see people from all walks of life in Inner Mongolia. It doesn't matter the differences exist in their gender, their age, the ethnic groups they belong to. Everyone is welcome to take part in the celebration. And also today's event consists of 4 sections, with the themes of beautiful home, beautiful Inner Mongolia, the symphony of grassland, the realization of the Chinese dream, and looking to the future. All these performances will be carried out by ordinary people here in Mongolia, and they put on their finest ethnic costumes. And for us to be this close to these performers, help us to understand why Inner Mongolia is one of the cradles of China's modern civilization. And also, people here do have enough reasons to celebrate, because 70 years down the line, Inner Mongolia, acting on the shared aspiration people from all the ethnic groups, he has set a model of how China's ethnic autonomy system works, and tremendous changes were happening in the region's economy, society, its modern civilization. So it is a grand feast of the nomadic culture. Let's enjoy, Natalie.
Well, thanks so much, Guanyang, for bringing us the latest from the celebration site. Meanwhile, let's also get back to our studio discussion. I want to ask Laura this. Victor was talking about how the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region is different from other autonomous regions. You are a presenter with Rediscovering China, so I guess you must travel extensively in China, right?
Yeah, I've traveled.
Have you traveled to the other autonomous regions as well?
Yes, I have been to some of them. Like I've been to Yunnan and Guangxi, I believe, is another one.
Right.
Yeah, and Qinghai as well. So yeah, I've been to a couple.
How different do you think Inner Mongolia is? What sets Inner Mongolia apart from the other autonomous regions?
Well, I mean, it is mainly around the culture, of course. I mean, the whole nomadic lifestyle, the herders' lifestyle is very different from if you go down to Yunnan and you see the ethnic minorities there. It's a completely different ball game. And so, yeah, I think it's mainly about this culture that we're seeing here, the big grasslands, the huge spaces. When you're out in the grasslands and you can look, and for miles you can see nothing at all except just nature, which in Yunnan you've got a very mountainous, very high kind of landscape, as well as in areas like Sichuan. So I think it's just the plains, and this is also the geography that has given way to some of the cultural aspects like throat singing, because of the way the geography is shaped, and that means the sound could travel really, really far. So I think from a landscape perspective, it's just quite interesting, quite fascinating. This kind of a feeling of freedom when you can ride horses, which is of course what kind of all tourists do when they go. But just riding a horse through like the prairie, it's like you're stepping into a completely different era and life in a way, and I think that's something that's quite special to Inner Mongolia.
Well, we haven't been able to watch much of Inner Mongolia's landscapes throughout our show. We were listening to speeches, but just thinking about this massive grasslands in Inner Mongolia makes us think about not only the nomad's lifestyle, but also how far they've come in the course of 70 years.
Oh, definitely. I think one thing which sets the Mongolian herdsmen apart is that once you're on the grassland, once you look at the horizon, you tend to think beyond the horizon. Therefore, I think a sense of freedom, a sense of pursuit of liberty, a sense of roaming around in any direction possible. For example, normally it's an east-west movement for the nomads, actually, in that particular zone or band from Asia all the way to Europe. And I think this kind of a free spirit, this kind of dare-to-do-ness, this kind of don't care about how far is the distance. With the aid of a horse, I can actually travel to the end of the world. And I think this spirit really is the inspiration for the Mongols, actually. And I think it is carried into many details of their culture and of their belief and also of their spiritual world. And I think for all the Mongolian friends I have, men and women, for example. This is what I like in them, and I think this kind of spiritual freedom, physical freedom, pursuit of liberty, emancipation, etc., really set apart the Mongols. As I mentioned, they are very much of a warrior nation, but now they are very much devoted to peaceful pursuit of happiness. And in Beijing, for example, there are many fans for important Mongolian singers. And their songs not only inspire the Mongolian people, they really inspire everyone else, including people like me. And therefore, I'd really love to travel to the Mongolian grassland, because there I can share with them the sense of freedom. And whenever I have to come back to Beijing, for example, surrounded by the concrete and glass buildings, for example, and very much deep into my study and work, occasionally I let myself travel back spiritually, back to the grassland. That's also my homeland, at least the spiritual homeland. So today, let's all be Mongolians.
So
for
the
one day
cleansing
at least.
effect of the grasslands in Inner Mongolia. I brought back a CD from Inner Mongolia with traditional music. One very well-known musical instrument is the mato, is the horse head violin. And I gave it to my friend. My friend has never been to Inner Mongolia, but she was moved to tears the first time she was listening to the music. So it has this really impactful effect on people who's not even familiar with the culture.
Oh, my dad absolutely loves it. Like, we brought him back some CDs, and he's at home in the living room. He'll be practicing it. He's absolutely in love with it. I mean, it's such a fascinating kind of ability to have, because they sing in different pitches at the same time. Just being able to do that physically is amazing. But I also think, quite interestingly, like an example of how this tradition comes together with modernization and urbanization is Hangai, of course.
Right.
So a band that was founded by a Mongolian guy living in Beijing who wanted to connect with his roots, and who went and learned this traditional art, but who then incorporates punk rock elements, and one of his inspirations is Pink Floyd, and sounds of the city of Beijing into his music. So then you have this new fusion, and many people that I know love this kind of music, because it's kind of keeping the old traditions, but also bringing in the reality of modern urban life, and kind of bring it together to create something new and absolutely amazing.
And of course, 70 years on, the region is presented with unprecedented opportunities.
Definitely,
proposed by the Belt and Road Initiative, for example.
Absolutely. I think the new version of industrialization is a mega trend in Inner Mongolia. It doesn't mean that all kinds of industrial outputs should move to Inner Mongolia. Many of the polluting kind of manufacturing facilities should actually be prevented from moving into Mongolia. But then you have other high-tech, businesses, etc., which can set their home in Inner Mongolia. And as I mentioned, with the abundant supply of energy, relatively cheap and green in nature, I think data rooms, cloud operations, etc., can very much strike roots in Inner Mongolia. And therefore, I think one is the continued development of the traditional agriculture and animal husbandry, but increasingly the new development of industrialization and urbanization is happening as we speak. But then we need to preserve the natural characteristics of Inner Mongolia for the future generations. And tourism is really becoming a big business in Inner Mongolia. And I think not only people throughout other parts of China want to be there, there are many international tourists really want to set their sights on the natural beauty in Inner Mongolia. Both of you mentioned the Mongolian songs, for example. I think one effect of the Mongolian songs is that once you listen to them, you actually can immediately feel the vast expanse of the grassland and the convergence of the grassland and the sky, and the clouds drifting in the sky in a very free-spirited way.
And since we mentioned music so many times, traditional Inner Mongolian music, we're going to leave you and our audience with a very popular piece of music from Inner Mongolia. So that's going to bring us to a close at CGTN's special coverage of celebrations marking the 70th anniversary of the establishment of the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. Now we're going to leave you with beautiful sounds of a local song being performed at the ceremony.